Hi, I'm Sadi, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to kick things off with a super important chapter in business studies, the concept and characteristics of management. Trust me, this is a big one for both your board exams and for CUET, so we are going to break it down piece by piece to make sure everything is absolutely clear. So, let's dive right in.
So, first things first, what even is management? In the simplest terms, management is something that's happening everywhere, all the time. It's totally essential wherever you have a group of people working together to achieve something. Think about it: a school, a hospital, a huge company. The whole job of management is to guide everyone's efforts so that the organization can actually hit its targets. Okay, now let's get a little more formal and look at the official NCERT definition right here. Management is a process of getting things done with the aim of achieving goals effectively and efficiently. Now, did you notice those three key words I emphasized? Process, effectively, and efficiently. Guys, this entire chapter, and honestly a huge part of business studies, is built on these three words. So let's really get what they mean.
Okay, let's jump into section 2 and really break down these three core keywords. We're going to go through each one with examples because this right here is the foundation of the whole subject. It is absolutely crucial that we understand these terms perfectly. So our first keyword is process. What do we mean by that? Well, a process just refers to the main jobs or activities that management does to get things done. And what are those jobs? You can see them right here: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. And you can remember them with the acronym POSDC. Now, here's a huge student trap. A lot of people think management is just about bossing people around. That is so not right. It's a complete non-stop series of these 5 connected functions. Our second keyword is effectiveness, and this one's actually pretty simple. Being effective just means doing the right task and, really important, finishing it on time. It's only concerned with the end result. For example, if your target was to produce 100 units and you did it, bam, you were effective. The cost? Doesn't matter for effectiveness. And here's another place people get confused. Effectiveness does not automatically mean high quality. It literally just means the task was completed and the goal was achieved. That's it. And that brings us to our third keyword, efficiency. Now, efficiency means doing the task correctly, but with minimum cost and basically zero waste. The big focus here is on cost benefit. We want to use the smallest amount of inputs, money, materials, people's time, to get the maximum possible output. A common mistake here is thinking efficiency just means being fast. And while yes, speed can be a part of it, the real core idea is about saving money and not wasting resources. Okay, so now that we know what effectiveness and efficiency are, let's talk about how they relate to each other. So what do you think is more important for a manager? Being effective or being efficient? This is the ultimate balancing act that every single manager has to perform every day. Let's see how this actually plays out. What's really interesting here is that effectiveness and efficiency are kind of like two sides of the same coin. As you can see on the slide, effectiveness is all about the end result and getting it done on time. Efficiency, on the other hand, is all about the cost. So yeah, they're different, but they are deeply, deeply interrelated. A truly good manager has to be both. You can't really have one without the other if you want to succeed in the long run. Let's make this crystal clear with 2 case studies from your NCERT book. All right, let's look at case number 1. So picture this. A company needs to produce 5,000 units. But oh no, there's a power failure. So the manager decides to run double shifts to catch up. And the result? They hit their target. The 5,000 units were made. So was the manager effective? Yes, but those double shifts meant higher labor costs, higher electricity bills. So was the manager efficient? Nope. The job got done, but it costs way more than it should have. Now, case 2 gives us the total opposite situation. Here, the manager is laser focused on cutting costs. He wants to save every last penny, trying to be super efficient. But in the process, they don't produce enough to meet their target. And the result of that? The goods never even reached the market, and you can bet their competitors were very happy about that. So the manager was efficient with his money, but totally ineffective because he failed to achieve the main goal. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that poor management happens because of both ineffectiveness and inefficiency. The real goal, the sweet spot for any manager, is to achieve goals, be effective, while using the minimum amount of resources, being efficient. And here's a pro tip for your case studies. Always, always check 2 things. Number 1, was the goal achieved? And number 2, at what cost? You have to look at both before you decide if the management was good or bad. Great,
I really hope that core concept is clear now. Let's move on to the next section and build on this knowledge. We're now going to talk about the 7 main characteristics of management, and in this first part, we'll cover the first 4.
First up, management is a goal-oriented process. This is pretty obvious, right? Every organization exists to achieve some goal, and management's job is to bring together the efforts of all the different people to hit that goal. Second, management is all-pervasive. This is just a fancy way of saying it's universal. You need management at a petrol pump, in a hospital, at a school. Doesn't matter if you're in India or the USA. Now, here's a really key distinction to remember. What managers do, that POSDC we talked about, is the same everywhere. But how they do it, that can change a lot based on the local culture and traditions. Third, and this one is so important for your exams, management is multidimensional. It has 3 parts. First, there's management of work, which answers the question, what work actually needs to be done, like making a product in a factory? Second is the management of people, which asks, who is going to do the work? And third, we have management of operations, which is all about how will the work get done? A super simple way to remember this is work is what, people is who, and operations is how.
The fourth characteristic is that management is a continuous process. It is not a one-and-done job. It's a never-ending series of functions. Remember POSDOC? A manager is doing all of these things at the same time, all the time. Now, a really common mistake is to think these functions happen in order. Like first you plan, then you organize, then you staff. Nope, that's wrong. They are all happening together continuously. In a single day, a manager could be planning for the future, controlling a current project, and directing their team, all at once. All right, so we've covered the first 4 characteristics. Now, let's get into the final 3 to finish up this topic. These are also pretty straightforward, but you'll see them pop up in case studies all the time.
So the 5th characteristic is that management is a group activity. I mean, an organization is just a collection of different people with different personalities and needs, right? Management's job is to get them all to work together as a team to reach that common goal. 6th, management is a dynamic function. This just means it has to change and adapt to the outside world. Social changes, economic changes, political changes. A perfect example, McDonald's. When they came to India, they couldn't just sell beef burgers. They had to adapt and create things like the Makaloo Tikki burger to survive and do well here. And the 7th and final characteristic, management is an intangible force. Intangible just means you can't see it or touch it, but you can definitely feel its presence. How? Well, when targets are being met on schedule, when employees are happy and motivated, and when there's a feeling of order instead of total chaos, that's when you know good management is happening. And a huge tip for your exams, it is not enough to just write that it cannot be seen. You must explain how its presence is felt through these positive results.
And just like that, we've covered all the core concepts and characteristics. Now for what I think is the most important part, revision and practice. In this section, we'll do a super quick review and then tackle a few multiple choice questions to really make sure these concepts are locked in your brain. Ready?
Okay, let's do a power revision on one single slide. We learned that management is a process used to achieve goals effectively and efficiently. We understood the critical balance between those two. And then we covered the 7 characteristics: goal-oriented, all-pervasive, multidimensional, continuous, a group activity, dynamic, and intangible. Seriously, go ahead and take a screenshot of this slide. It will be a lifesaver for your last-minute revision. Let's look at that official NCERT definition just one more time. It is such a good idea to memorize this exact wording. Writing this definition word for word in your board exams can really boost your score and help you get full marks for that question. So please, make sure you know this one by heart.
All right, time to test our knowledge. Let's tackle the first MCQ. The manager produced the output on time. So was the goal achieved? Yes. That means he was effective. But it was at a very high cost, which means resources were wasted. So was he efficient? Nope. Therefore, the correct answer has to be A, effective but not efficient. See, once the concepts are clear, these questions are a piece of cake.
Let's do 2 more, quick-fire style. Question 2 says, management is important in all kinds of organizations, political, economic, you name it. Which feature does this highlight? That it's everywhere? It's universal, which is all-pervasive. So the answer is C. Question 3 uses the phrase, getting work done through people. Which dimension does that relate to? That's the literal definition of management of people. So again, C is our answer. And our final 2, what does successful management ensure? Well, it ensures goals are achieved on time, that's effectiveness, and with minimum cost, that's efficiency. So the answer is C, both. Lastly, the idea that management is felt through orderliness relates to which feature? We just covered this one. You can't see it, but you feel it. That's an intangible force. So B is the right answer. And that is a wrap. I really hope every single concept is perfectly clear now. If you have any doubts at all, just drop them in the comments below. I'll see you in the next explainer. Keep learning.